Welcome back to the Krown crypto channel where we finally have something new to be looking at as Bitcoin resolves the eternal range of destiny, or in this case, I guess doom, to the downside. Now, yesterday we were looking at a test of the bumps of the range based off of the 12-hour hidden bearish divergence. The real question was Bitcoin going to break it or not? And in this case, with a little bit of help from our good old friend CZ and the SEC with Gary Gensler, it looks like indeed yes. So we'll be going over what the likely continuation for that is. By the way, just like... And one of the most epic lines came out of that complaint as well, where one of the higher ups in Binance, apparently like a few years ago, said something to the tune of like, "We are operating as a fucking unlicensed security exchange, bro, in the US." It's like, oh, that's like literally everything that you probably shouldn't say. Anyways, that line going to go down in infamy from here on out. Other than that, I should once again let you know that the current offer for getting the Joolite for free for the first 30 days plus 0% maker fees on derivative contract orders on Bybit is still very much available. If you follow the directions in the link in the description below, it's also available here on the Krown Trading application. And other than that, let's just jump right into it. Starting off first things first with a continuation of yesterday's analysis with that 12-hour time frame hidden bearish divergence phantom drive coming in right on over here. We are looking for a test to the bottom side of that $26,000 or so low range. And then the real question again was Bitcoin going to break it or not? And in this case, yes, we do have a break as Bitcoin closes that one well into the $25,000 territory. So in this case, what essentially would I be looking for? Well, as long as Bitcoin now is below the breakdown level, which let's say it's 26,100 and change, downside more likely. That is to say that on the other side of that, if Bitcoin can close above 26,100 on a higher term time frame, like a 12-hour or a daily in this case, I would be entertaining the possibilities or the not just the possibilities, but the likelihood of a bear trap coming in from that region. But until then, no bear trap, and in downside more likely. So referencing the HPDR ranges over here yet again for some guidance onto where that next major range would come in around. We actually do see it comes all the way down around about 24,550 or so. So yes, I do think that Bitcoin can come down there before tentatively where we're saying that, hey, if Bitcoin breaks below that range low, probably looking somewhere at least around 25,000 bucks, give or take about 200. So, giving us a range between about 25.2 to 24.8. So yes, I do still think that Bitcoin, probably does make that move, assuming no closures back above 26,100, let's say. Anyways, moving into it now, I do want to go over stochastic momentum, see how things have kind of changed around, if they have at all. And on the daily, yes, we do see that the daily stochastic momentum has turned on to the downside, as obviously yesterday's pivot was not met. 27,550 going to be the magical number now. 12-hour time frame also going to be headed to the downside as long as Bitcoin's below 26,600. So, not so much room right there. 6-hour time frame also showing downside below 26,000 and in change. 4-hour time frame starting to get into the critical zone here, also showing about 26,000 bucks, and the hourly is probably to the upside if I had to guess. Indeed it is, as long as Bitcoin's above 25,550. So short term, does Bitcoin put in a bit of a corrective bounce here on the very, very short term time frames? Yeah, perhaps yes. Maybe that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Maybe just shy of 26,000 bucks, but ultimately, again, as long as Bitcoin's below there, I'd be looking for a short term time frame correction based off of that, and then higher term time frames yet again take on over, maybe not today, but probably tomorrow actually. And if not tomorrow, then very likely Thursday, because Thursday does seem to be one of the most down days for Bitcoin just in general. Anyway, so we've gone through that. Do we want to go over some hopium first, or do we want to go over maybe major continuation targets to the downside? Let's do that first because that's more relevant, and then we'll go over some potential hopium later. But we get to bring back this chart, and that is the 2-day time frame volatility versus stochastic momentum signature here. Again, we did see this one base off twice in the extreme lows. Now looking officially for expansion. Still want to see the moving average get a positive slope as well. If like really want it to be super perfect, but ultimately it's kind of what we're looking for as far as expansion goes. And in this case, the 2-day time frame stochastic oscillator, as you would expect, is positioned to the downside. You can even look at it as a rejection of the retest of this regression trend line that was holding things up ever since September of 2022, connected with all the major lows in between there and kind of where we're at right now. Obviously that got broken in like early mid-May, and now showing downside momentum as long as Bitcoin's below 26,750. So with this particular setup, we have seen that out of the total 19 iterations over the full history of Bitcoin, 16 of those did play out with some pretty, nice downside fashion, giving it a pretty high strike rate at about 84.25%. Did take on average for a lot of these setups to play out about 14 days from volatility expansion. And the average return was actually just under 26%, standard deviation about just over 8. And so that does give us a range between like the high teens and the low 30s or so. So going back into it here, where would I be taking that measurement from? That'd be from this high before expansion. And of course, if it does work its way into the deeper teens, that would put Bitcoin that would put Bitcoin at around 23,500 or so. If we do see a move all the way to the average, that would be significantly lower. Personally speaking, I don't think that we're going to see something like that. But just for full information, 21,000 bucks or so. And I do think that would likely be the worst case scenario here. I do think that Bitcoin will have a legitimate chance at basically three major areas. One is going to be that sort of 24,800 region to 25,200 region. Two would be like that 22.5 to 23,000. And then worst case scenario, like I said, somewhere down around about 21,000 bucks or so. So that is significant, obviously. Does that play hand in hand with any one of the Gaussian channel areas that we were looking at over here? Perhaps yes, perhaps no. Actually, the 5-day is still above that mean band, which is very interesting. So maybe there's a trap potential here. I guess that would kind of play on the side of that 5-day on spot price action. Also kind of testing around that region. But when I look at the mean band over here, yeah, still does show, what is that, like 24,850. So that is where, that is another area that I'm getting, again, like that 24,800 to 25,000 bucks region. So maybe one more swipe lower and then up. But I do think that that's kind of like best case scenario right now, to be quite frank with you. Anyways, yes, so we've gone through that. What else do I want to be speaking about? Yeah, we can go over some potential hopium here, I suppose. One of them would be kind of a funny one, not something that I put too much weight on, but I know people love their patterns, especially on Twitter. And what do you know? We do still have this sort of falling channel going on right here. These typically do have a higher probability of being resolved to the upside than the downside. But as you can see, the problem with or it's not necessarily a problem with them, but one of the issues with them is that they can be walked down this channel, for quite some time before having that potential upside resolution. But for what it's worth right now, Bitcoin has found a bounce off the lower boundary of that, which is that low $25,000 number, and that will be trending lower in the next couple of days here, obviously maybe closer towards that 25 or 24,800-ish region, which again is where I think is kind of like best case scenario coming in for Bitcoin on a potential bear trap. The other thing that is going to not be relevant this exact moment, but potentially later on, is an HPDR setup that is potential over here. Again, it's potential, but it has not been confirmed just yet. But first things first, we do see on the 4-hour time frame that let me actually just get rid of this. We do see on the 4-hour time frame there are several closures below the bottom side of the 50% of historic returns range lows. And so, of course, whenever that happens, I want to be looking for a decrease in volatility, represented by the BBWP indicator over here. And on that moving average, it is still moving to the upside. But as you can see, it is getting towards really intense levels. We're already, it's very, very close to 100 percentile. And the beautiful thing about volatility is just like it's set to expand, it also is set to contract once it gets to, extreme high levels like this. Think of it like a heartbeat. It can't stay too high for too long, otherwise it explodes, and that's not going to happen. No, it's like literally programmed to do that. So once it starts to get up here, the probabilities of it starting to decline obviously increase. It's not there just yet, but if you do keep an eye on BBWP and the HPDR, and you start to see that curl down while there's still simultaneous closures below, then at that point, that can set into motion a nice probabilistic setup over here, of which, if we back test that setup over the past, I believe it is 4 years, over 125 trades, 68% of those did have a nice, nice upside bounce. Wouldn't necessarily say that's reversal here, but a nice upside bounce. And when we go ahead and reference the performance summary and look at the average winning trade, did produce about 5.33% on that side, and the average amount of time taken in those trades was about 23 bars. So 23 bars on a 4-hour time frame is what, I don't know, it's like over 100 hours, so probably around like the 3 to 4 day mark if that fires off, which it has not just yet, by the way. And then at that point, if it were to fire off, there'd be a 68% probability that we do see, a nice bounce to the upside. So I would just kind of, I'm just taking numbers here, but let's say it did happen from this current area. What would basically 5% on top of current price action look like? That'd put Bitcoin back at around 26,800, 26,900. Obviously bringing it back above that sort of bear trap-ish region. So if you do start to see that fire off, that'd be an early indication that a bear trap is possible here. But until then, like I said, downside more likely. I don't necessarily know if we'll see like continuation today. I think if it's going to happen, probably tomorrow. I think today actually will likely be maybe kind of a range bound day where we see like a retest of the current low and then kind of settle in somewhere where we're currently looking at right now. Obviously I can be massively wrong on that, but typically when I do see these sort of breakouts or breakdowns, the first day is the actual break, second day consolidation, third day continuation. It's typically how they go. Anyways, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off. As always, want to be wishing you the best on this lovely Tuesday morning. It's actually nice and bright and sunny out here in Helsinki. And with that said, take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.